Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show. We are up in Washington, D.C. for the next couple of weeks. Buck is going to join me tomorrow. He's in the process of trying to get up here. It's not gone smoothly. I'm sitting in studio right now with Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, and I'm up here because my son is going to be doing an internship. And this is intern season for so many different offices out there. Do you remember the first time you came to D.C.? I know you've been
absolutely.
up here for a while. What do you remember about that? How old were you?
You know, I was in high school, and it was a 4-H Club Leadership Summit. And it was absolutely so exciting to me. And to come up and to have lunch with my senator and get that photo, and, you know, what fun.
What do you think young Marsha Blackburn on that 4-H trip would have thought if you had told her, hey, one day you're going to be a congresswoman and a senator yourself? Do you think you would have believed it? Were you interested in politics at that age?
I was very involved. Yes, I thought that good citizenship was important. And we, even as I was cleaning out some things, one day I found a flyer I had done and distributed to all my neighbors as part of a citizenship project, reminding them to go vote and the importance of going to vote. But never would I have thought I would have been in elective office. But, you know, that's just one of those things. I tell young people all the time, be ready to walk through open doors and realize you don't chart your path, God charts your path, and to be mindful and to accept those open doors.
What did you think last night when you saw the footage from Los Angeles?
Out of control. These men and women that are there trying to get these criminal illegal aliens. Why in the world would you have a mayor and a governor that are siding and trying to protect criminal illegal aliens and to obstruct ICE and keep them from doing their job? And, you know, Clay, you talk to so many people when you're on the air every day. I'm not hearing from people that want to keep criminal illegal aliens. Look at what is happening in Nashville. And this is not a partisan issue. This is a 90% issue. And people will say if they are criminals, they need to be removed. Let's remove these individuals. And people realize that coming across that border illegally is a crime. And of course, ICE is out there doing their job. We are a nation that is built on the rule of law. And it is imperative that these officials implement and abide by the law. If they don't like the law, they can try to change the law. But it is, there are set procedures for entering the country legally. There are statutes that determine what is and is not a crime, and whether it's a felony or a misdemeanor. And to have people that want to pick and choose and say, we're going to enforce this, but we're not going to enforce that, and a sanctuary for this, but not for that. This is what really spurs a lot of the chaos that you're seeing take place in places like L.A.
It's not just L.A. either, because I hear from some people, and I know we've got a lot of people listening in California, but they say, oh, that's just a blue city there. What do I care? We live in a red state, you and me. You're one of my senators, and I'm glad that you are, and maybe more here in a little bit. But when you see what's happening in Nashville, because I think a lot of people out there say, okay, state of Tennessee, very red. There's a mayor, Freddie O'Connell, in a city of Nashville who has basically said, hey, we're going to try to stop ICE from doing their work. This has become a big talking point in many cities all over the place. First, you have got a bill called the Remove Act that would take from 90 days down to 15 days to help expedite the removal of people who shouldn't be in this country. So that is something you're doing directly to try to help the president. But when you see a city like Nashville, when you see someone making the choices that the mayor there is making, that Karen Bass is making in Los Angeles to directly defy the president's authority, can you believe it?
It is difficult to believe, and this is why removing these criminal illegal aliens is a 90% issue. and people want them to be taken out of the country. And the other thing is the doxing. This is something that happened in Nashville, and you had the mayor and his office that actually exposed the names of HSI investigators and also of our ICE agents and their operations. Now, you cannot do that. And exposing that, we found out that it is not illegal to reveal the name of a law enforcement officer. It is illegal when they're undercover and you reveal their information. So my preventing law enforcement doxing, that legislation we've also filed to include law enforcement who are implementing the law in that, so that we can protect our law enforcement officers at the local, state, and federal level. It should be illegal to dox them, whether they're undercover or out doing their regular job. And what we see happening with this obstruction is people are saying, why are the Democrats choosing to die on this hill?
Yeah.
Why are they absolutely making this their issue number one when this is something that people overwhelmingly support? Get them removed from the country. Protect law enforcement. Don't dox them. Don't go put their pictures up. Don't go put their home address. Don't endanger their families. People want to show respect for law enforcement.
Department of Justice is investigating what Nashville had
That's
happened.
Correct.
You've asked for that.
Yes.
Pam Bondi is the Attorney General. What do you expect that investigation to be like? How should it be undertaken?
I'm sure they will have something to say about this. I've sent the letter over. I have requested that they formalize an investigation, and I would expect that at some point we will hear from that. You do have the Homeland Security Committee in the House, which is chaired by Representative Green out of Tennessee.
Yes.
And also the Judiciary Committee in the House. They have started an investigation and looking at what happened with obstructing these raids.
Were you a stunt? I mean, you've lived in the state of Tennessee and in the Nashville area, as
Sure.
have I, for a very long time.
Yeah.
And look, sometimes mayors are good, sometimes mayors are bad, particularly as it pertains to any big city that you might have in a state. I was stunned when I saw the mayor of Nashville, Freddie O'Connell, engaging in this behavior and having a press conference to brag about it. Were you as stunned as I was?
I was stunned. I couldn't believe that there would be a defiance of removing criminals. You know, one of the top issues when you talk to people in Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee crime, they talk about the escalated occurrence of criminal acts, carjackings,
particularly
theft,
in Memphis,
home
which
robberies.
had one of the highest
Right.
violent crime rates in the whole nation.
Right. And so it has stunned people that Nashville had a mayor that would come out and would choose to protect criminal, illegal aliens over law-abiding citizens. When people have been saying we've got to get the crime down, they've been really unsettled by the number of home robberies that have taken place and the number of gangs that have moved into the Nashville area. I have not talked to a single person who wants to have more Tren de Aragua or MS-13 in their community. I mean, not one. They want them gone.
They should be gone. We're talking to Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Okay. In particular now, big beautiful bill is underway.
Yes.
You are in the Senate majority, 53 Republicans. I'm sure you, like everybody else, saw Elon and Trump going back and forth. Elon says there's not enough cutting of spending that's going on. This is past the House. President Trump says, hey, we're going to create incredible growth rate. We're going to put in place all these tax cuts for years and years to go because otherwise they expire. What should we know about the big, beautiful bill? What should the time frame be? There's a ton of deal with the border as well, which would help to, ideally keep some other president like Biden from wide opening the border again to allow people to pour in? What's the latest? What should we know? What's the time frame?
Yes, and we are hopeful to have it to the president by July 4th so that we've got that true Independence Day. And we know that this is a tax cut bill. It is kind of Tax Cut and Jobs Act 2.0. And we will make those tax cuts permanent. We're also trying to make permanent R&D, bonus depreciation, interest expensing, because we've got a lot of small businesses in Tennessee. 93% of our jobs are small business jobs in the state, and that's important to them. Also, provisions for no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security, and that is my legislation, to remove the tax from Social Security for our seniors. So we're in the process of negotiating those. We're finalizing some of those provisions. We want to get permanence on these provisions. That's how you get that extended growth that will run out past 10 years. So we'd like not to be back at the negotiating table, in businesses and individuals. Tennesseans tell me all the time, just tell me what the rules are and I'll play by the rules. But we don't like this changing everything, and especially when we have so many small businesses, mom and pops, small business manufacturing, businesses on our main streets. We need some permanence.
We've had Senator Ron Johnson on the show. He says more spending needs to be cut. We've had Rand Paul on saying the same thing. Are you optimistic that the Senate is going to be able to come to an agreement?
Yes, I am. The House did $1.5 trillion in spending reductions. The Senate wants a $2 trillion reduction, and we've got a pathway to do that. Now, the DOJ cuts they have to come to us through OMB from the White House, and then that is going into what is called a rescission bill. So we can't put those into the reconciliation, the tax bill. They've got to travel separately, kind of at the same time. We got the first package of those. It's $9 billion, which over a 10-year period, you're talking about significant savings.
Last question for you. I think the key to all this is growth. There's a guy who lives in the Nashville area.
Sure.
It's kind of smart.
Art
Laffer, who will come on.
Yes.
And he makes this case, but I think it's one that is being missed a little bit. And I want to give you an opportunity. But if we get the growth of the economy to 3% or more, which I think we will, then we are going to actually start to cut the deficit.
That's correct.
And it's really important because the CBO and there's all these numbers that are running around out there. All of it's predicated, the projections, on what the growth rate of the country is. If we get to 3%, then the national debt starts getting paid down, and the president's focused on growth more than cuts. Ideally, you get both, but growth, to a large extent, according to people like Art Laffer, is the most important thing.
That is accurate. And bear in mind, CBO is always wrong on their projections. They have been wrong every single time. They were wrong on the 2017 cuts.
Yes.
And so you do want to reduce spending and you want to get that growth. And President Trump had the Senate Finance Republicans at the White House last week to work on some of this with him, the Vice President, Secretary Bessent, and Kevin Hassett. And one of the things we know is that if you are growing, if you put these cuts in place, and it's the largest tax cut, and you get permanence on R&D and expensing and depreciation, then you are going to see that, because you will have your small businesses choose to grow,
yes,
and to hire and to expand. That is how you get that growth, and the multiplier effect on that is so significant.
And not only that, COVID hit right as Trump's economy was exploding. right?
Yes,
January
that's
of
correct.
2020, February of 2020, probably the greatest economic season we've ever had.
Correct.
And then COVID happened and suddenly everything goes off the rails. We get that rolling again by 2024, 2028 in the next election cycle. We should be firing on all cylinders.
That is accurate, and we are looking forward to having this permanence. And then bear in mind, too, in 2017, when we did the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the biggest benefactor of those changes were your small businesses. You saw such an explosion of small business manufacturing, and this was so good for Tennessee. We had a lot of businesses that had been there for years that this was their chance to grow. So they jumped to that level, and now they are waiting to hire, they are waiting to invest, they're waiting to punch send on those equipment orders, because they want to be able to depreciate that in that first year or two and then move into upgrades.
Senator Marsha Blackburn with us, by the way, just walking in behind you, one of your Senate colleagues, Senator Tommy Tuberville. You guys may be governor colleagues before long, too.
Tommy Tuberville's a great guy. We call him Coach.
Yeah, he's going to be on with us here in just a sec. Senator Marsha Blackburn, thank you. Keep up the good work, and we look forward to celebrating when the big, beautiful bill is done.
You got it.
Look, there's a company in Michigan right now with outstanding year underway, Rapid Radios, next level, modern day walkie-talkies. These allow you to connect with anyone, anywhere in the U.S. via nationwide LTE network. Fun to use, voice quality, every bit as good as a cell phone call. Rapid Radios don't require any setup. Pull them out of the box, press a button, push talk. One-touch connection, perfect for busy families. We got them in the Travis household. You got young kids like we do. Maybe you don't want them to have a cell phone yet, but you also want them to be running around. You want to be able to get in touch with them. That's what my wife does with our 10-year-old. 100% private, no monthly fees or subscriptions. Also gives you peace of mind. Tornadoes, hurricane season has started. If you want something that's going to keep a 5-day charge and be able to stay in touch with you, get hooked up right now. RapidRadios.com. 60% off. Free UPS shipping from Michigan. Code RADIO for an extra 5% off. That is RapidRadios.com. 60% off. Code RADIO for an extra 5% off. Order today. RapidRadios.com.